Morning. It's now 20 minutes after the hour. Major cities around the world are falling prey to attacks from radical Islamists. So what are some of these lessons that we can learn from their mistakes, and how can we apply it here at home in the U.S. to make sure that we stay protected?
Here to discuss is former advisor to the U.S. and NATO commanders in Afghanistan and former U.S. Army intelligence officer Andrew Peek. Andrew, thanks so much for coming on. What really breaks my heart is when we keep seeing over and over that the individuals involved in these attacks are known to officials, and you know that some investigator saw this coming but couldn't do something about it. Is that the biggest lesson we need to learn, as to how do we change that?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there's thousands of people in the UK who are under surveillance at any moment. 3,000, I think, is the current number, and 500 open investigations. Intelligence is clearly the key to this battle, and the most important kind of intelligence to determine which of those 3,000, at least in the UK, are threats is human intelligence, the local community leaders and Muslims and imams who can tell us who's been acting bizarrely, who's been acting strangely, and who is an imminent threat to the safety of their fellow citizens.
President Trump tweeted this. He said, "We need to be smart, vigilant, and tough. We need the courts to give us back our rights. We need the travel ban as an extra level of safety." That's something we're going to hear a lot about. We heard a lot about on Saturday. What do you think about getting this travel ban back?
Well, I think the president is absolutely right in moving the conversation beyond the usual PC platitudes. We don't know yet if the travel ban would have prevented this attack. We don't know if it, we don't know a lot about the attack. We don't know the names of the attackers. But what he does do very effectively, I think, is cut through kind of the PC nonsense and the identity politics that prevents any common sense measures towards surveillance of these communities that are at risk for terrorism in the UK or US.
Yeah, you know, the travel ban, I think, is a tough one for a lot of people because there are two really strong opinions on either side of this. Critics would say that this travel ban is going to offend good Muslims that are in these communities, that are in mosques with the bad Muslims, and make them less likely to cooperate with investigations or maybe call the police when they think something is up. How do you respond to that?
Well, look, I think Mike Flynn's point when the travel ban came up last year is quite right still, and that is there's a lot of ways to slice this problem. There's a lot of facets of it. One of it is clearly, as I just talked about, the human intelligence problem at the local level. But secondly, there is a genuine danger from many of these countries like Syria that we just don't know who's coming into the U.S. We don't know how good our vetting procedures are. So I think it's a tactical ban. It's a tactical assessment of certain of our procedures, and I think it's totally acceptable in that framework.
Where does the U.S. go from here now?
Well, gosh, I think for one thing, we've got to improve our intelligence collection with the United Kingdom and other EU states. You know, the Europeans are very, very protective of the privacy data on European citizens. I think domestically, we've got to have a hard conversation with our communities that are at risk and the local leaders and local imams about the need to report suspicious behavior to the public. And I think lastly, frankly, we've got to have tough conversations with Saudi Arabia and other Gulf states that sponsor radicalism in our own mosques, in our prisons, in our schools, and to which we've turned a blind eye for too long.
Yeah, it's such a complex problem, probably the most pressing one we have right now. Andrew, thank you so much for being with us this morning.
Thanks.